Hi, I'm Michelle Tompkins, joined by Jack Adams, our audiologist here at Shell Point. We're going to talk about a Wellness Connection program for the month of January here at Shell Point in the Social Center. So welcome back, Jack.
Glad to be here.
We appreciate you being here. Can you tell our residents first what your role is here at Shell Point?
I am an audiologist, and I am here on Wednesdays at the Arbor doing hearing testing and cleaning and checking people's hearing aids and fitting new hearing aids and helping anybody that has a problem with their hearing or their amplification.
Okay, well, you'll also be doing another presentation for us in Wellness Connection on January 18th at 10:15 in the Social Center. What are you going to discuss with our residents then?
Well, unfortunately, hearing aids are only part of the solution to the problem. When we develop hearing loss, it really causes people to withdraw socially. It cuts down on communication between friends as well as spouses. It makes people feel somewhat isolated in many respects. And hearing aids help, but they aren't the only solution to the problem. And unfortunately, sometimes people expect too much from the hearing aid and not enough from themselves relative to other strategies and things that they can do to try to help themselves hear better in any given environment. So what I'm going to address for the most part is some of those strategies, and I've talked on them before, but you can't hear them often enough. Because it's difficult to do. I used to have a sign in my office that said hearing aids are not for sissies. And it should say hearing loss is not for sissies, because it's a whole complex of problems in addition to just dealing with a hearing aid. So we're going to talk about a number of different things that people can do.
Okay, and I know in the brochure it is called Hearing Education Strategies to Improve Your Hearing, but what would you call this presentation?
I'd say, okay, I've got a hearing aid, now what do I do?
Exactly, what do you do? What are some strategies to improve?
Well, really simple things. Like a lot of people don't even know which is their better ear. And you want to work on trying to make sure either that your hearing aids have your hearing balanced or that you favor your good ear as opposed to your bad ear when in any given environment. Trying to reduce background noise whenever you can, because background noise is always a very difficult scenario for people with hearing loss. And that can be done by turning things down if you're in your own home, or by sitting in a location in a restaurant or at a party or somewhere where you're away from the majority of the noise. And people a lot of times just don't think of those things or are too embarrassed or don't want to make the effort to do those sorts of things. So some of my purpose of this talk is encouraging type A personality to say, okay, I've got a problem and this is what I need to do to help circumvent it.
Those personalities as well as their loved ones that live with them.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Even if your spouse with the hearing aid doesn't want to come to the talk, you come as the spouse to learn things that you can do to help the other person and to help yourself. Because communication, by definition, is a two-way street. It's one person communicating to another. We don't communicate in isolation, and so we're trying to improve communication as much as we can.
And hearing loss and hearing aids are something that we see every day here, being at Shell Point and with our population. And you mentioned they tend to withdraw socially. Well, depression as well, I've heard.
Definitely.
And being out, I have heard in the past, being out at restaurants like you mentioned with the background noise, even at home with the TV running, your spouse trying to have a conversation and doing the dishes at the same time, that can be of a challenge too.
Yeah, and anytime there's excessive background noise, it's always going to be more of a challenge. And you're right, depression can set in, withdrawal sets in, and there's even been a lot of research recently, which I've spoken on here before too, about your cognitive health can be really improved. Not only through the utilization of hearing aids, but by communication. And if you can't communicate effectively, then you're not going to communicate, and you're going to deny yourself that cortical stimulation for cognitive health.
Very frustrating.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here with me today.
My pleasure.
Please, those out there watching, feel free to sign up for this presentation January 18th at 10:15 in the Social Center. Call the service desk to sign up. And just like Jack said, you don't have to be the one experiencing hearing loss. You could be the spouse or a friend or a neighbor, loved one. Anyone is welcome. Please come on out, and we will see you January 18th. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.